Hello friends and neighbors, approximately 3.5 weeks ago now, I turned 27. And I got several fun and interesting gifts for my birthday, including this watch, this poster, this book, and this office chair. But because a couple of these gifts were fairly expensive, I wasn't expecting any of the other gifts to be terribly huge or big. I mean, I was expecting maybe a couple of small little things, but I wasn't really expecting any other major gifts. And then I opened up this. Yes, for the past 3.5 weeks, I have been the proud owner of a Kindle. And now I'm going to review it. Kindle still counts as a book review, right? But before I get to reviewing the Kindle itself, I should probably talk about my evolving opinion of e-readers. I think I first heard about the concept of e-readers about 6 or 7 years ago, possibly, and when I first heard about this idea of electronic reading, I think my reaction was pretty much the same as a lot of people's. No! No! Technology cannot replace the written word! No! But eventually I got over my deeply rooted nostalgia and my fear of losing my precious bookshelf background, although I didn't have a bookshelf background at that point, and I started to see the benefits of e-readers. One of the first arguments I heard in favor of e-readers is that they were more environmentally sound because, well, you didn't have to use a whole rainforest full of paper in order to make a bookshelf background. And as a card-carrying, lily-livered, bleeding heart, liberal, egghead, communist tree hugger, this argument should have appealed to me. But still, books. And I just didn't like the idea of A, turning everything in my life over to technology, and B, reading something off of a computer screen because it hurt my eyes. But the other compelling argument that I was getting was that it was a space saver, and this one held a little bit more weight for me. Because I'm not one of those guys who can just read one book at a time. I mean, come on. Because at any given moment, I just don't know which of these many books I'm gonna be in the mood to read. Why do so many of my gags involve throwing things around my living room? So anytime I go somewhere, I feel compelled to bring 2, 3, 14 books with me. And having one of these makes that really easy because, I mean, look at it! Look how much space it takes up. It doesn't take up much space at all, and it's really light and is really, really easy on my back. And then recently I had an opportunity to borrow one of my friend's Nooks, and yes, I know a Nook is not a Kindle, but it's an e-reader, and I got a chance to look at it. And I realized that this thing is not backlit. It literally looks like they just took a piece of paper and put it under plastic. It's really easy to read. Not only that, but you can adjust the text and make it bigger. If you have eye problems, there's always a progress bar at the bottom so you can tell how far you are in the story. So I started to think, yeah, maybe I might want one of these, and I decided that I was gonna ask for one for Christmas, and then I got one for my birthday, so I don't have to do that anymore. But I think one of the things that I really like about it especially is the price. Not the price of the Kindle itself, but the price of the books that you buy. Now, a lot of books are going to be pretty much the same price that you would pay at a bookstore, and to be honest, if I'm going to pay full price for a book, I am going to pay for the paper and the ink and the binding and all the labor that went into actually making the physical book. I'm not going to pay that much money for just text on a screen. But some books, mostly classics, are really, really cheap for the Kindle. I mean, you can buy, for example, the complete works of Charles Dickens, the complete works of Jane Austen, the complete works of Frances Hodgson Burnett, the Oz series by L. Frank Baum, and all 3 Peter Pan stories that J.M. Barrie wrote, and only pay no more than $15. I know from experience. Whereas I'm pretty sure that that same amount of money bought me this one book by Charles Dickens. Similarly, this pink book that is the subject of a lot of comments on my videos is one of Andrew Lang's fairy tale collections. He wrote 12 of them in all, each with a different color, and this one volume cost me $50. Canadian. I now have all 12 of Andrew Lang's colored fairy tale collections on the Kindle, for which I paid, I can't remember exactly, but it was no more than $3 American. Not only that, but I've been using the Kindle for other purposes. You can play some games on here that are really fun. You can use it for storage of PDFs. For example, I put PDFs of the scripts for the stage-to-screen review that I did and the last Books vs. Movies review that I did. And I use this to refer to them throughout the review. I've also been using it to back up PDFs of my NaNoWriMo novel, which, come to think of it, I should probably get back to, so I'm going to wrap this up. So the big question is, are e-readers eventually going to replace actual books? And my answer is probably someday, but not anytime soon. I mean, we still have a lot of nostalgia for our paper books. I know I personally have a lot of nostalgia for my paper books. I mean, look at my background. Not even so much because I like to read them, but just because I like to have them. I grew up in a house full of books, and so having a bunch of books in my apartment makes it feel more like a home to me. And it might sound kind of petty and shallow, but I think a lot of people kind of share that viewpoint. That being said though, I love the Kindle. I really do enjoy using it, and I'm really glad that I now own one. And to the naysayers, I would say you really should give it a try. Obviously, it's a lot of money to spend on something that you may or may not use, but if you have a friend who has a Kindle or a Nook or some other e-reader, give it a try, give it a test run, see what it's all about, and then pass judgment on it. So that's my review of the Kindle. Thanks for joining me, and until next time, I've got a novel to work on, excuse me. Hey there friends and neighbors, just a quick update to let you know that earlier this morning I received my 2,000th subscriber. And you know what that means. Challenge time. So I have set up the YouTube moderator. Actually, I've set it up a while ago, but I haven't announced it yet. The YouTube moderator is set up for you to leave challenge suggestions. A few things to remember about the challenges, mainly that no matter how high the challenges are voted, I am still going to pick my favorites. So by all means, continue voting up the challenges. I will take that into consideration, but I'm still going to pick the ones that I like best. And that in mind, please remember these following things about how I am going to pick the challenges. First, this is a challenge, not a punishment. So I'm not going to pick ones that are unpleasant, and I'm generally going to shy away from any challenge suggestions that involve either the book or movie versions of New Moon. Second, please come up with a challenge that is relatively creative and interesting and not something that I'm likely to do anyway. So in general, try to steer away from like my regular reviewing series like books versus movies unless it's something really interesting. And third, I am going to pick a challenge that is going to make for an interesting video. So for the person that suggested that I watch all of The Catcher in the Rye, the movie, which is 75 minutes and 6 seconds of blue screen, that suggestion was funny and it made me laugh, but I'm not going to actually do it because it would make for a really boring video. So that's it. Go ahead and get suggesting. You have until November 15th to make challenge suggestions, at which point I will pick my 3 to 6 favorites, depending on how many there are, and then I will create a poll and we will vote on the one that I will do. Or 2 or 3, depending on how many good ones there are. And that's it from me. See you later.